Summit Recovery Hub because she's a lifelong resident of Summit County and wants to help create an ecosystem of recovery in her home community so that the systems are more accessible for someone with a behavioral health disorder to navigate, access quality and integrated services within their community, and help anyone seeking recovery sustain that recovery. Please join me in welcoming China Darrington to the stage. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So I'm China Darrington. I am a founder and CEO of the Summit Recovery Hub, which is a peer-run recovery community organization with a low-barrier recovery community drop-in center. And I'm honored to be able to kick off the 2026 OACBHA conference this year. I love seeing everybody here. I hope you'll bear with me. I was asked to share my recovery story, and I've been in recovery for a couple decades at this point, and I'm getting tired of doing that. So they gave me an option also to share about what recovery means to me, and that spoke to me, because recovery means everything to me. So I'm going to channel my inner Maya Angelou up here, and I'm a little nervous about that because I'm a very analytical person, and Maya Angelou doesn't come naturally to me. So here we go. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I come to you today not as a finished story, not as a polished brochure of triumph, but as a living, breathing still learning, still choosing, still becoming. Because recovery, real recovery, is not a straight line drawn with a steady hand. It's a road with weather. It's a map that gets wet in the rain. It's a morning where your feet touch the floor and you do not know if you're going to be brave, but you decide to be honest. I've known the kind of pain that tries to make a home in your chest. The kind that whispers, be quiet, be small, disappear. I've known the kind of shame that makes you apologize for taking up space in your own life. And I've known the other kind of struggle too, the one that people can't always see, the mind that won't quiet down, the sadness that doesn't ask permission, and the panic that shows up like a fire alarm when there is no smoke. I have learned that recovery can be loud or it can be silent. Sometimes it looks like therapy. Sometimes it looks like medication. Sometimes it looks like finally sleeping, finally eating, finally answering the phone, finally believing you deserve to stay alive. Some people think that recovery is only about stopping the substance, stopping the chaos, stopping the spiral. But I've learned that recovery is also about starting to tell the truth, starting to ask for help without bargaining for your worth, starting to believe that your life is not a punishment, but a promise. And for many of us, it's not an either or. It's not addiction over here and mental health over here like two separate files in a cabinet. It's both, and it's braided. It's grief and it's craving. It's trauma and it's coping. It's depression and the old escape routes. And it's trying to build a life while your nervous system is still learning what safe feels like. I did not wake up one day and become a different person. I woke up many days and practiced. I practiced calling someone instead of collapsing. I practiced showing up instead of hiding. I practiced drinking water and taking a breath. I practiced taking the next right step even when my mind tried to drag me backwards like a heavy coat in the summer. And yes, some days I was strong. And some days I was just stubborn enough to stay. But let me tell you what saved me, again and again and again. Not perfection, not willpower dressed up like a miracle, not a speech that sounded good on paper. What saved me was people. People who understood that healing doesn't require you to perform. People who knew the difference between a person and their worst day. People who made room for relapse and return. Room for symptoms and setbacks. And room for that long middle of the story where you're not before and you're not after, you're in it. That's why I believe in peer support. And that's why I believe in recovery community. Because when the world has labeled you, your community will always call you by your name. And as I stand here today to say this as plainly as I can, we do not recover alone. We do not recover in silence, and we do not recover by being shamed into change. We recover when dignity is not a reward, but a starting point. We recover when someone says, I've been there, and means it. We recover when we build places where folks can walk in carrying their whole life, the substance use, the depression, the anxiety, the diagnosis, the trauma, and the hope, and nobody asks them to be less than human to deserve help. I've seen what happens when you give people a door instead of a dead end. I've seen what happens when you offer a ride instead of a lecture. I've seen what happens when you offer a warm welcome instead of a cold requirement. And I have learned this. My recovery is not only mine. My recovery is a bridge. My recovery is a hand extended, and my recovery is a light left on for someone who's still walking home. So, to the peers in the room, where are my peers? Woo-hoo! To the peers in the room, keep telling your truth with your whole chest, because your story is not too much. Your story is medicine. To the providers and the partners, keep making space for that lived experience and that whole person care. Not just compliance, not just stability, but real belonging. To the policymakers and the funders, if you want outcomes, fund what works, and what works is community. What works is access. What works is dignity that does not expire. And to anyone listening, to anyone out there that's still in the hardest part, the part where you're not sure if you can do this, hear me. You do not have to be fearless. You just have to be here. You do not have to be fixed. You only have to be willing. And you do not need to rise all at once. Just rise today. Rise in one appointment kept. Rise in one meeting attended. Rise in one honest sentence. Rise in one more try. And if you cannot rise yet, then reach, and we will meet you there. Thank you.